I overheard my wife talking about getting a divorce, so I transferred everything into my name. Turns out she was talking about her friend's divorce, and now I might be the one getting served. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop. I'd come downstairs for water, barefoot on the hardwood, when I heard Rachel's voice from the kitchen. Low, careful, the kind of whisper that makes your stomach drop. "Call the lawyer tomorrow," she said. "The sooner we get this moving, the better." I stopped in the hallway, glass still in my hand. "I know," Rachel continued, her voice tight, "but you need to think about splitting everything cleanly. Don't let him talk you out of what you're owed." My heart kicked against my ribs. Him. She was talking about me. "No, Laura, listen." Rachel paused, and I heard her shift her weight. "You have to protect yourself. Get your name off the joint accounts first. He's going to make this ugly if you don't move fast." The glass nearly slipped from my fingers. Joint accounts, lawyers, splitting everything. She was planning to divorce me. I backed up slowly, each step deliberate and silent, until I reached the stairs. My mind was racing so fast I barely registered climbing them. By the time I reached our bedroom, my hands were shaking as I grabbed my laptop from the nightstand. Our joint savings account, the one we'd built together over 8 years, showed $47,000. I stared at the number, my cursor hovering over the transfer button. How long had she been planning this? How long had I been the idiot who didn't see it coming? I thought about last Tuesday when she'd been on her phone during dinner, smiling at the screen. I thought about the weekend she'd gone to visit her mother, alone, even though I'd offered to come. I thought about how she'd been tired 3 nights in a row. All of it suddenly made sense. My finger clicked before I could second-guess myself. Transfer to individual savings account. All of it. I changed the password. Then I opened our joint checking, another $8,000, and moved that too. It was past midnight when I finally closed the laptop. Rachel was still downstairs. I could hear the murmur of her voice, still on the phone, still plotting. I lay back on the bed, staring at the ceiling, my pulse hammering in my ears. I just protected myself from losing everything. That's what you do when someone's about to blindside you with divorce papers. You move first. You don't wait around to be the fool who gets cleaned out because he trusted too much. The bedroom door creaked open around 1 in the morning. Rachel slipped in quietly, probably assuming I was asleep. I kept my eyes closed, my breathing steady, while she changed into pajamas and slid under the covers beside me. She had no idea I knew. She had no idea I'd already won. The next morning, I made coffee like nothing had changed. Rachel came down in her work clothes, her hair still damp from the shower, and smiled at me the same way she had for years. "Morning," she said, kissing my cheek. I forced myself to smile back. "Morning?" She grabbed her travel mug and started pouring. "I'm meeting Laura for lunch today. She's going through some stuff." Laura. The name from last night's phone call. So that was her cover story. Helping a friend. Classic. "That's nice of you," I said, my voice even. Rachel glanced at me, something flickering across her face. "You okay? You seem off." "Just tired." I took a sip of my coffee, watching her over the rim. "Didn't sleep great." She nodded, distracted, already checking her phone. "Yeah, me neither. Anyway, I'll probably be home late. Laura really needs someone right now." "I'll bet she does," I thought. "No problem. Take your time." She left 20 minutes later, and the second her car pulled out of the driveway, I was on my laptop again. I needed a lawyer. Not just any lawyer. Someone who could move fast if Rachel tried to file first. I found a firm downtown, one that specialized in asset protection. The consultation was free. I scheduled it for that afternoon. By the time Rachel got home that night, I'd already met with Dennis Kowalski, a guy in his 50s with sharp eyes and a handshake that felt like a contract. He'd listened to everything, the phone call, the joint accounts, my preemptive transfers, and nodded along like he'd heard it 1,000 times. "You did the right thing," Dennis had said. "People get wiped out every day because they wait too long. You protected yourself. That's smart." I'd felt validated, vindicated even. Rachel microwaved leftovers for dinner and told me about Laura's terrible husband, some guy named Brad, who'd apparently been cheating for months. She went on about how Laura was devastated, how she was trying to help her find a good attorney, how the whole thing was a nightmare. I nodded in all the right places, but inside, I was adding it all up. The story was too detailed, too convenient. People who lie always over-explain. "You're quiet tonight," Rachel said, studying me across the table. "Just thinking about work," I lied. She reached across and touched my hand. "You'd tell me if something was wrong, right?" I looked at her, really looked at her, and wondered how long she'd been practicing that exact expression. Concerned, loving, innocent. "Of course," I said. But I was already 3 steps ahead. I couldn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I replayed the phone call. Rachel's voice, calm and calculated, telling Laura to call the lawyer, to split everything cleanly, to protect herself. Rachel was asleep beside me, breathing steady and soft, like she didn't have a care in the world, like she wasn't planning to destroy everything we'd built. I turned onto my side, facing away from her, and pulled up my bank app under the covers. The transferred funds sat safely in my individual account, untouchable. It should have made me feel better. Instead, I just felt hollow. When morning came, Rachel got up first like always. I listened to her shower, brush her teeth, move around the bedroom getting dressed. She kissed my forehead before leaving, whispered something about a meeting, and I kept my eyes closed until I heard the front door shut. Then I was up, laptop open, going through everything. Our credit cards. I made a note of every shared one. Our car insurance policy, both our names on it. The mortgage, joint, the utilities split. 8 years of tangled finances, and I'd only secured the cash accounts. There was so much more she could come after. I spent 2 hours digging through paperwork, making lists, taking screenshots. By the time I looked up, it was almost noon. My phone buzzed. Rachel's name lit up the screen. "Hey," I answered, trying to sound normal. "Hi, just checking in. How's your day?" Casual. Breezy. Like she wasn't about to rip my life apart. "Fine," I said. "Working from home today?" "Oh, good. Listen, I forgot to mention, I'm meeting Laura again after work. Probably won't be home until 8 or so." Laura. Again. Every conversation seemed to circle back to her. "Sure, no problem." "You're the best." She paused. "Love you." The words felt like like a test, like she was waiting to see if I'd say it back, if I suspected anything. Love you too, I said, and hated how easy the lie came. After we hung up, I stared at my phone for a long time. Then I opened my email and started a new thread to Dennis Kowalski. Need to discuss additional asset protection. Can we meet tomorrow? His reply came within 20 minutes. 2 p.m. work? I confirmed and spent the rest of the day in a fog. I tried to work, but every notification made me jump. Every time a car drove past, I thought it was Rachel coming home early to confront me. By the time she actually got home that night, I'd worked myself into knots. Hey, she said, dropping her bag by the door. She looked tired. Laura's a mess. I think Brad's trying to hide assets from her. I looked up from my laptop. Yeah? Yeah. She's terrified he's going to screw her over financially. Rachel kicked off her shoes and collapsed onto the couch beside me. I told her she needs to move fast. Get everything documented before he can hide it all. The irony wasn't lost on me. Here she was, coaching her friend through a divorce strategy while planning the exact same thing for us. That's rough, I managed. Rachel leaned her head on my shoulder. Marriage is so fragile, you know? One person decides they're done, and suddenly everything you built together is just leverage. I stayed perfectly still. Was this her way of telling me? Was she testing to see how I'd react? Yeah, I said quietly. It's scary. She was quiet for a moment. Then she sat up and looked at me. Really looked at me, and something shifted in her expression. You've been weird lately. I'm fine. No, you haven't been. You're distant, distracted. She tucked her legs under her. Is something going on? I could have told her right then. Could have asked her straight out if she was planning to leave. But if I was wrong, if I tipped my hand too early, she'd have time to counter everything I'd done. Just work stress, I said. She didn't look convinced, but she let it drop. Okay, well, if you want to talk about it, I know, thanks. That night I lay awake again while Rachel slept. I kept thinking about what she'd said. How marriage was fragile, how everything could become leverage. She wasn't wrong. I thought about our wedding day, 8 years ago. How young we'd been, how certain, how stupid it seemed now, promising forever to someone who could just decide one day that you weren't worth keeping. My phone was on the nightstand. I picked it up carefully, the screen lighting up my face in the dark, and opened our bank app one more time, just to make sure the money was still there, still safe. It was. The next afternoon, I met Dennis at his office. He had papers spread across his desk when I walked in. Good timing, he said, gesturing for me to sit. I've been looking into your situation. We should talk about the house. What about it? If she files, she's going to want half the equity. You've been paying the mortgage jointly for how long? 7 years. He nodded, making notes. And the down payment? We both contributed about equal amounts. Dennis tapped his pen against the desk. Here's what I'm thinking. We need to establish documentation of any separate contributions you've made. Repairs, improvements, anything you paid for individually. It's not much, but every bit helps. I felt sick. We were talking about my home, our home, like it was already being divided up. There's something else, Dennis said. You mentioned she's been acting suspicious. Late nights, secretive calls. Have you considered documenting any of that? Documenting how? Keep a log, dates, times, anything unusual. If this goes to court, a pattern of behavior can be relevant. I started keeping track that night. Every time Rachel came home late, every phone call she took in another room, every time she said she was with Laura. I wrote it all down in a notes app on my phone, time-stamped and detailed. Thursday, home at 8:47 p.m., said she was with Laura. Took a call outside, spoke for 23 minutes. Friday, worked late, didn't text until 7:15 p.m. Seemed irritated when I asked about her day. Saturday, out for errands from 10 a.m. 3 p.m. Vague about where she went. It felt justified, necessary. I was just protecting myself, gathering evidence for the inevitable. Rachel noticed, though. She had to. You keep staring at me, she said Sunday morning over breakfast. I blinked. What? You've been watching me all week. Like you're waiting for me to do something wrong. She set down her coffee. What's going on with you? Nothing. Don't lie to me. Her voice had an edge now. You've been acting strange for days. Jumpy, secretive. Are you seeing someone? The accusation hit me like cold water. What? No. Are you? Are you seriously asking me that? You're the one who's been coming home late, always on the phone with Laura, because my best friend is going through a divorce. Rachel stood up, her chair scraping against the floor. I'm trying to be there for her, and you're interrogating me like I'm the one cheating? I never said you were cheating. Then what are you saying? I couldn't answer. I couldn't tell her I knew about the lawyer, about the plan to split everything, because if I did, she'd know I'd already moved the money, and then all of this would blow up before I was ready. Rachel stared at me for a long moment, waiting. When I didn't say anything, she shook her head. Unbelievable. She grabbed her keys and left. I heard her car start, heard her pull out of the driveway too fast. I sat there at the kitchen table, surrounded by the breakfast we hadn't finished, and pulled out my phone. Sunday, 9:34 a.m. Confrontation about whereabouts. Subject became defensive and left abruptly. Dennis had been right. Document everything. Rachel came back 3 hours later. I was on the couch, laptop open, pretending to work when I heard her car in the driveway. She walked in carrying grocery bags. 2 of them, from the organic market she liked. She set them on the kitchen counter without looking at me. Need help? I asked. I got it. Her voice was flat, cold. She started unpacking. Milk, bread, vegetables, moving with sharp, precise motions. I watched her put things away, cabinet doors closing a little too hard, and wondered if this was it. If she'd spent those 3 hours calling her lawyer, finalizing the plan. Where'd you go? I asked. Store, obviously. She held up a box of pasta like evidence. Before that, you were gone for 3 hours. Rachel stopped, her hand frozen on the refrigerator door. She turned slowly. Are you tracking me now? No, because it sure sounds like you're tracking me. She walked toward me, and there was something dangerous in her expression. What is happening with you? This paranoid interrogation every time I leave the house? I closed my laptop. I'm not paranoid. Then what do you call this? You've been weird for over a week. You barely talk to me, you watch me constantly, and now you're timing my errands? She was good, really good, turning it all around on me, making me look like the unstable one. Forget it, I said. No, I don't want to forget it. I want you to tell me what's actually going on. I couldn't, not yet, so I did what I'd been doing all week. I lied. I'm stressed about work, that's all. Rachel stared at me for a long moment. Then she laughed, but there was no humor in it. You're a terrible liar. She went upstairs. I heard our bedroom door close, then lock. That night, I ate dinner alone. Rachel stayed in the bedroom, didn't come down once. I checked my phone obsessively, half expecting a message from Dennis saying she'd already filed. Nothing came. By Monday morning, the silence between us had solidified into something dense and immovable. Rachel got ready for work without speaking to me. I made coffee for both of us out of habit, but she grabbed her travel mug and left without touching the cup I'd poured for her. I dumped it down the sink and went back to my laptop. The bills were due. Electricity, internet, insurance. All set to auto-pay from our joint checking account, the one I'd emptied. I logged into each account and updated the payment methods to my individual card. It took an hour. Rachel's name disappeared from the billing info one account at a time, and each deletion felt like another layer of protection. She texted me around noon. The mortgage payment is due Friday. Can you handle it this month? I stared at the message. This month. Like there would be a next month. Like we were still doing this together. Yeah, I'll take care of it, I replied. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Thanks. That was it. No explanation for why she was asking me to cover it. No acknowledgement of the weirdness between us. Just business. I called Dennis. She's distancing herself from joint expenses, I told him. Asking me to cover the mortgage alone. That's actually good for you, Dennis said. You're establishing sole responsibility. Keep records of every payment you make individually. What if she's doing this to set me up? Make it look like I'm controlling the finances? Dennis was quiet for a second. Has she said anything about the joint accounts? No, nothing. Then she probably hasn't checked them yet. When she does, I know. Make sure you're ready for that conversation. I wasn't ready. How could I be ready to tell my wife I'd emptied our accounts because I thought she was leaving me? That evening, Rachel came home late again. I'd been watching the clock. 6:30, 7, 7:30. Each minute that passed added another line to my mental log. When she finally walked in at 8:15, she looked exhausted. Long day? I asked. Yeah. She dropped her bag and headed straight for the stairs. Were you with Laura? She stopped, one hand on the banister. Didn't turn around. Does it matter? I'm just asking. Yes. I was with Laura. She's falling apart, and I'm trying to help her, and honestly, it's a lot easier than being here right now. The words hit harder than I expected. She went upstairs before I could respond. I pulled out my phone and added to my notes. Late arrival, confirmed meeting with Laura, openly admitted to avoiding home. Wednesday, Rachel asked me about our credit card statement. Did you change the password? She said, not looking up from her laptop. We were in the living room on opposite ends of the couch, the space between us feeling like miles. Yeah, I said carefully. Why? Security. There was a breach warning. It wasn't entirely a lie. There had been a breach warning 6 months ago, but she didn't need to know that. Rachel's fingers paused over her keyboard. Can you send me the new one? I'll handle the bills this month. Don't worry about it. Now she looked at me. I'm not worried about it. I want access to our account. It's fine. I've got it covered. That's not the point. Rachel, I said I've got it. The edge in my voice surprised both of us. She closed her laptop slowly. What is wrong with you? Nothing. You're shutting me out of our finances. You're acting like I'm a stranger, and you keep saying nothing's wrong. Do you think I'm stupid? I never said that. Then tell me what's happening. Because this, she gestured between us. This isn't normal. This isn't us. I wanted to tell her. Wanted to lay it all out. The phone call, the panic, the money, everything. But if I did, and I was right, she'd just accelerate her timeline. She'd know I was on to her. I'm just stressed, I said again. Rachel stood up. I don't believe you. She left the room. I heard her go upstairs. Heard the bedroom door close again. She'd been sleeping up there for 3 nights now. I'd been on the couch. Thursday morning, I woke up to find Rachel already gone. No note, no text. Just her coffee mug in the sink, still warm. I checked my phone. One message from Dennis. Can you come in today? We should discuss next steps. I met him at 2. His office felt smaller than before, the walls closing in as he walked me through worst-case scenarios. Division of assets, spousal support, legal fees. Every word made it more real. Have you thought about what you want from this? Dennis asked. Want? If it goes to divorce. What's your ideal outcome? I didn't have an answer. I'd been so focused on protecting myself that I hadn't thought past the explosion. Past the moment Rachel finally admitted what she was planning. I just don't want to lose everything, I said finally. Dennis nodded like he'd heard it 1,000 times. Then you're doing the right thing. When I got home that evening, Rachel's car was already in the driveway. She was in the kitchen making dinner. Pasta, sauce, salad, like it was a normal Thursday. Hey, she said when I walked in. Her voice was softer than it had been in days. Hey, I made enough for both of us if you want. I wanted to say yes. Wanted to sit down and pretend everything was fine, even for just one meal. But I couldn't shake the feeling that this was a trap, that she was trying to lull me into dropping my guard. I already ate, I lied. Something flickered across her face. Hurt, maybe, or disappointment. Okay. She served herself and sat at the kitchen table alone. I went to the living room, turned on the TV without really watching it, and listened to the sound of her fork scraping against the plate. My phone buzzed. A notification from the bank. Transaction alert. I opened it, expecting to see one of my automatic payments. Instead, I saw a withdrawal attempt from our joint checking account. Declined. Insufficient funds. Rachel had tried to use the account. She knew. I heard her chair push back in the kitchen. Footsteps. Then she was standing in the doorway holding her phone. Why is our joint account empty? Her voice was level. too level. I set down my phone, turned off the TV. The silence stretched between us. I moved the money, I said. I can see that. Why? This was it. The moment I'd been preparing for all week. I needed to secure our assets. Secure them from what? From whatever you're planning. Rachel's expression shifted from confusion to something harder to read. What I'm planning? What does that mean? I heard you on the phone last week telling Laura to call the lawyer to split everything cleanly to protect herself from her husband. I watched her face, waiting for the confession, the guilt, the admission that she'd been caught. Instead, she just looked tired. You thought I was talking about us. It wasn't a question. It was a realization. Slow and awful. Weren't you? Rachel set her phone on the coffee table, sat down in the armchair across from me. When she spoke, her voice was quiet. Laura is getting divorced. Brad's been cheating on her for months. She's devastated, and she asked me to help her figure out the financial side because she's never dealt with any of their money. That's what the phone call was about. That's what all of this has been about. The words landed like stones. I tried to process them, to fit them into the narrative I'd built over the past week, but they wouldn't go. But you said I was coaching her, not planning my own divorce, not plotting against you. Rachel leaned forward. How could you think that? How could you hear one phone call and immediately assume the worst about me? You've been distant, acting strange, because my best friend is falling apart, and I've been trying to be there for her while also managing everything here. And apparently, while I was doing that, you were emptying our bank accounts and treating me like the enemy. She stood up and I saw it then. Not anger, but something worse. Disappointment. Betrayal. You don't believe me. Rachel's voice was flat. I didn't say that. You don't have to. I can see it on your face. She picked up her phone from the table. You think I'm lying right now. Even after I explained everything, you still think I'm planning to leave you. I wanted to believe her. Part of me desperately wanted to accept her explanation and move on. But the other part, the part that had spent a week preparing for war, couldn't let go that easily. It's just a lot to process, I said. A lot to process? She repeated the words slowly, like she was testing their weight. You know what's a lot to process? Finding out my husband has so little faith in me that one overheard phone call made him treat me like an enemy. That's not fair. Isn't it? You locked me out of our money, changed all the passwords, started tracking my movements. What would you call that? I stood up, trying to match her energy. I was protecting myself. What was I supposed to do? Just wait around to get blindsided? You were supposed to talk to me. You were supposed to trust me. Rachel's voice cracked. We've been married for 8 years. 8 years. And you couldn't give me the benefit of the doubt for even 5 minutes? You're making this about trust when it is about trust. That's exactly what it's about. She headed for the stairs. I can't do this right now. I need space. Rachel, wait. But she was already gone. I heard the bedroom door close, then lock. Again. I sat back down, my mind racing. She'd explained it. Laura was the one getting divorced, not us. It made sense. It fit. But something still felt off. I grabbed my phone and pulled up my notes. All the observations from the past week, every suspicious moment, every late arrival. Reading through them now, they look different. Less like evidence of betrayal and more like the paranoid ramblings of someone spiraling. Unless that's what she wanted me to think. I texted Dennis. Wife claims the divorce conversation was about her friend, not us. Thoughts? His response came fast. Classic deflection. Don't let your guard down. Has she asked for the money back? I looked at the locked bedroom door upstairs. Not yet. She will. Be ready. Friday morning, Rachel was already at the kitchen table when I came downstairs. She had her laptop open, coffee going cold beside her. Morning, I said carefully. She didn't look up. I need you to transfer the money back to our joint account. There it was. Dennis had called it. Why? Because it's our money. Because you had no right to move it without talking to me. Now she looked at me. Because I need to be able to access our funds. For what? For normal life things. Groceries, gas, the bills that are still in my name. She closed her laptop. I'm not asking. I'm telling you. Put the money back. Every instinct I had screamed at me to refuse. To hold the line. I'll think about it, I said. Rachel's jaw tightened. You'll think about it. Yeah. She grabbed her keys and left without another word. I watched her car pull out, then immediately called Dennis. She's asking for the money back, I said the second he picked up. Don't do it, not until we know what her endgame is. But what if she's telling the truth? What if this really is about her friend? Then she'll understand why you need to be cautious. Look, I've seen this play out 100 times. The spouse who's planning to file always has a story, always has an explanation that sounds reasonable. Don't fall for it. I wanted to trust Dennis. He was the professional, the one who'd seen these situations before. But a small voice in the back of my head kept whispering that maybe, just maybe, I'd made a terrible mistake. That afternoon, my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Hi, is this Rachel's husband? A woman's voice, tired and raw. Who is this? It's Laura, Rachel's friend. Can we talk? I moved to the window, watching the street like Rachel might appear any second. What about? Rachel told me what's been going on. About you thinking... She paused. Look, I just want you to know. She's been helping me through the worst time of my life. That phone call you heard? That was me falling apart because Brad emptied our accounts, and Rachel was trying to help me figure out what to do. The story matched. Word for word, it matched what Rachel had told me. Okay, I said slowly. She's a good person. A really good person. And she's been so worried about you this past week, wondering why you've been acting strange. Laura's voice got quieter. She doesn't deserve this. She told you to call me. No, she doesn't even know I have your number. I got it from her phone when she was in the bathroom yesterday. Laura sighed. I'm calling because I owe her. Because she's been there for me every single day, and now her own marriage is falling apart, and I can't just sit back and let that happen. I didn't know what to say. The call felt genuine, but it also felt convenient. Too convenient. Thanks for calling, I said finally. Just talk to her. Really talk to her, please. She hung up. I stood there holding the phone, more confused than ever. Was Laura real? Or was this part of Rachel's strategy, having a friend vouch for her to make the story more convincing. I went to Rachel's social media, scrolled back through her posts. There, photos with Laura from last year. Birthday dinner, weekend trip, holiday party. They were friends. That part was real. But that didn't mean the divorce conversation wasn't about us. Rachel came home early that evening. I heard her car, heard her come in, but she didn't come to the living room. She went straight to the kitchen, started making dinner. I found her chopping vegetables, her movements sharp and precise. Laura called me, I said. Rachel's knife paused mid-cut. What? She called. Said she wanted to explain things from her side. I didn't ask her to do that. I know, she told me. Rachel set down the knife. And? Did it help? Do you believe me now? I don't know what to believe. She turned to face me fully. You don't know. After your wife and her friend both tell you the same story, you still don't know. It's not that simple. It is exactly that simple. Either you trust me or you don't. Either you believe I'm the person you married, or you believe I'm some calculating liar who's been planning to destroy you. When she put it like that, it sounded insane. But I'd gone too far to back down now. Changed too many passwords, moved too much money, said too many things to Dennis. I need time, I said. Rachel laughed, and it was the saddest sound I'd ever heard. Time, right. How much time do you need to decide if your wife of 8 years is trustworthy? That's not fair. None of this is fair. You want to know what's not fair? I spent the last week supporting my best friend through a nightmare divorce while you were treating me like a criminal. I held Laura while she cried about Brad hiding money from her, and meanwhile you were doing the exact same thing to me. The comparison stung because she was right. I had done what I'd feared Rachel was doing. I'd hidden money, changed passwords, locked her out. I was protecting myself, I said again, but the words sounded hollow. From what? From me being a good friend? From me having a life outside of constantly reassuring you? Rachel's voice rose. What did I do to make you think I'd leave you? What did I do wrong? Nothing. You didn't do anything. Exactly. I didn't do anything except exist while you spiraled into paranoia. She grabbed her phone. You want proof? Fine. Here. She pulled up her call history, thrust the phone in my face. Pages of calls to and from Laura. Texts, dozens of them, about lawyers and bank accounts and custody arrangements. None of them about us. There. Evidence. Is this enough, or do you need more? Should I get Laura to write you a signed statement? Should I call my therapist and have her confirm I've been talking about Laura's divorce, not planning my own? I stared at the phone, the messages blurring together. It looked real. It all looked real. I'm sorry, I said and meant it. I'm sorry, You just what? Decided I was lying without giving me a chance to explain? Decided 8 years of marriage meant nothing the second you heard half a phone conversation? She pulled her phone back. Do you know what Brad did to Laura? Exactly what you did to me. Moved money, changed passwords, convinced himself she was the enemy, and now you're doing the same thing, becoming the thing you were supposedly protecting yourself from. The words hit like a slap. I opened my mouth to argue, to defend myself, but nothing came out. Rachel wiped her eyes. I can't keep doing this. I can't keep proving myself to you over and over. Either you trust me or you don't. And clearly, you don't. I want to trust you. Wanting to and actually doing it are two different things. She picked up her keys again. I'm going to my sister's for the weekend. I need space to figure out if this marriage is even salvageable. Rachel, please. No, you've made your choice. Now I need to make mine. She left. The house fell silent. I stood in the kitchen, surrounded by half-prepared dinner, and pulled out my phone. The text to Dennis wrote itself. She's leaving, going to her sister's, says she needs to decide if the marriage is salvageable. 3 dots appeared immediately. This is the setup. She's positioning herself as the victim. Document everything. I read the message 3 times. Then I looked around the empty kitchen, the vegetables Rachel had been chopping, the pot she'd set out, the dinner she'd been making for both of us before I'd ruined it. For the first time since this whole thing started, I wondered if Dennis was wrong. The house felt different without Rachel in it. Bigger, emptier. Every room echoed. I sat on the couch Saturday morning staring at my phone. No messages from her, no calls, nothing. I'd tried texting her the night before about a simple, hope you got there safe, but she'd left me on red. My brother called around noon. Hey man, Rachel texted me, said you two were having problems. I closed my eyes. Of course she'd told people. Of course this was spreading. It's complicated, I said. She said you moved all your money without telling her. That true? There's more to it than that. I'm sure there is. He paused. But did you actually empty your joint account without talking to her? When he said it like that, it sounded indefensible. Yeah. Jesus, why would you do that? I explained the phone call, the lawyer, the conviction that Rachel was planning to leave. My brother listened without interrupting, which made it worse somehow. The silence on his end felt like judgment. So you thought she was divorcing you? He said finally. And instead of asking her about it, you just decided to hide all your money? I was protecting myself from your wife. You were protecting yourself from Rachel. He laughed, but it wasn't amused. Do you hear yourself? This is Rachel, the woman who drove 4 hours when I was in the hospital, who sends mom flowers every Mother's Day, who put up with your nonsense for 8 years, and you thought she was secretly plotting against you? I know how it sounds. Do you? Because it sounds like you sabotaged your own marriage over nothing. It wasn't nothing. I heard her tell someone to call a lawyer to split everything for her friend. Rachel already told you she was helping Laura, and instead of believing her, you're still acting like she's some criminal mastermind. He sighed. Look, I love you, but you messed up. Bad. And the longer you keep defending it, the worse it's going to get. After we hung up, I sat there holding my phone. My brother's words played on repeat. You sabotaged your own marriage. I pulled up Dennis's contact, my finger hovering over the call button. I needed him to tell me I was right, that I'd done the smart thing, that any reasonable person would have reacted the same way. But I didn't call. Instead, I opened my banking app and stared at the transferred funds. All that money, sitting there, supposedly keeping me safe. It felt less like protection and more like evidence of my own paranoia. Sunday afternoon, Rachel's sister Vanessa called. You need to fix this, she said without preamble. Hi to you too. I'm serious. Rachel's here crying her eyes out and you need to fix this. I sat up straighter. She's crying? What did you think she'd be doing celebrating? You basically told her you don't trust her, that you think she's capable of betraying you. Vanessa's voice shook with anger. Do you have any idea what that does to a person? To spend 8 years building a life with someone only to find out they've been waiting for you to turn on them? That's not what happened, isn't it? The second you thought she might leave, you went into full combat mode. Changed passwords, moved money, probably talked to a lawyer too, right? I didn't answer, the silence confirmed it. Unbelievable. You know what the worst part is? She keeps defending you, keeps saying you must have been scared, that you must have had your reasons. She's making excuses for you even now. Can I talk to her? She doesn't want to talk to you. She needs space to figure out if she can even stay married to someone who thinks so little of her. The words hit hard. I don't think little of her. Your actions say otherwise. Look, I don't know what's going on in your head, but you need to get it together. Rachel's the best thing that ever happened to you, and if you lose her over this, that's on you. She hung up before I could respond. I spent the rest of Sunday replaying every conversation, every moment from the past 2 weeks, trying to find the point where I could have done something different, where I could have just asked instead of assumed. Monday morning, I called Dennis. I think I made a mistake, I said. What kind of mistake? With Rachel, with all of it. I don't think she was planning to leave. I think I misunderstood everything. Dennis was quiet for a moment. You're having second thoughts. I'm having a lot of thoughts, mostly about how I might have destroyed my marriage over a phone call I misinterpreted. Listen, it's normal to feel guilty, but that doesn't mean you were wrong to protect yourself. Even if this specific situation wasn't what you thought, your instinct to safeguard your assets was sound. Was it? Because right now it looks like I just proved to my wife that I never really trusted her. You can't think like that. You have to. I need to go. I hung up and looked around my empty house. Our empty house. The place Rachel and I had bought together, painted together, filled with furniture we'd chosen as a team. I grabbed my laptop and logged into our joint account, or what used to be our joint account. The balance showed 0. I looked at my individual account, at all the money I'd moved, and something clicked. This wasn't protection, this was self-sabotage. I started the transfer back. Every dollar, every cent. Put it all where it belonged, in our shared account. Then I changed all the passwords back to what they'd been before, the ones Rachel knew. It took an hour to undo what I'd spent a week building. When I finished, I called Rachel. It rang 4 times before she picked up. What? Not a question. A statement. Flat and tired. I transferred the money back, I said. All of it. And I changed the passwords back. You have access to everything again. Silence. Rachel? Why? Her voice was small. Because I was wrong. Because you were right. I didn't trust you. And I should have. Because I let fear turn me into someone I don't want to be. You talked to your lawyer about divorcing me. Don't pretend this was just moving some money. She knew about Dennis. Of course she knew. I did. I talked to a lawyer. I documented your movements. I treated you like an enemy. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this. I know. More silence. I could hear voices in the background. Vanessa probably. Maybe Rachel's mom. I need more time, Rachel said finally. I need to figure out if I can forgive this. If I even want to. I understand. Do you? Because I don't think you do. I don't think you understand what it feels like to have your husband, the person who's supposed to love you unconditionally, decide you're capable of destroying him. Her voice cracked. You didn't even ask me. You just assumed the worst and acted on it. How am I supposed to come back from that? I didn't have an answer. There wasn't one. Take all the time you need, I said quietly. She hung up. I sat there in the silent house, holding my phone, and realized I'd done exactly what I'd been afraid of. I'd guaranteed the divorce I'd been trying to prevent. Tuesday, I got an email from Dennis. Notice the account activity. Call me ASAP. We need to discuss your strategy. I deleted it. Wednesday, Rachel's mom called. I don't know what you did, she said, but you need to make it right. That girl loves you more than you deserve, and if you throw that away, you're a fool. I know. Then prove it. Grand gestures won't work here. This needs time and effort and actual change. Can you do that? I'll try. Trying isn't good enough. Either you can or you can't. I thought about Dennis's voice in my head, always assuming the worst. I thought about the week I'd spent as someone I didn't recognize, paranoid and defensive and cruel. I can, I said. Good, don't make me regret believing you. Thursday morning, Laura called again. Rachel showed me what you did, giving the money back. Yeah, it's a start, but you know that's not enough, right? I know. She's really hurt, like devastated. She trusted you completely, and you proved that was a mistake. The words stung, but they were fair. I want to fix it, I said. Then you're going to have to do more than apologize. You're going to have to show her every single day that she can trust you again. And even then, she might decide it's not worth it. I know. Brad did the same thing to me, you know. Started hiding money, acting suspicious, treating me like the enemy. And you know what? He was the one cheating the whole time, projecting his guilt onto me. Laura paused. Rachel said you're not like Brad, that this was different. I hope she's right. After she hung up, I sat with those words. He was the one cheating the whole time. I'd turned into the villain while trying to protect myself from one. I'd become what I feared. Friday, I texted Rachel. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't expect you to come home. I just need you to know that I see what I did wrong, and I'm going to spend however long it takes proving that I'm not that person anymore. She didn't respond. Saturday morning, 2 weeks after I'd overheard the phone call that started everything, Rachel's car pulled into the driveway. I watched from the window as she got out, grabbed a bag from the trunk, and walked to the door. My door. Our door. She let herself in, and we stood in the entryway, 3 feet apart, strangers in our own home. I'm not staying, she said. I just came to get some things. Okay. She moved past me heading upstairs. I stayed where I was, giving her space. 10 minutes later, she came back down with a small suitcase. She stopped at the bottom of the stairs. I read your text. I waited. I don't know if I believe you yet, but I want to. Her eyes were red. I want to believe that this was a mistake, that you panicked, that you're not actually the person person who would do this to me. I'm not, I said. Or I don't want to be. Then prove it. Not with words. With actions. With time. She shifted the suitcase to her other hand. I'm staying at Vanessa's for another week. Maybe 2. We're not getting divorced. Not yet. But we're not okay either. I understand. I need to see real change. Therapy, probably. For both of us. And you need to figure out why you were so quick to believe I'd hurt you. She was right. About all of it. Whatever it takes, I said. Rachel nodded slowly. Then she walked past me out the door and got in her car. I watched her drive away and knew I'd been given something I didn't deserve. A chance. The first therapy session was the following Wednesday. Rachel had agreed to couples counseling as a condition of even considering reconciliation, and I'd said yes before she'd finished the sentence. Dr. Patel's office was small, neutral-toned, with 2 chairs facing each other and her desk off to the side. Rachel took one chair. I took the other. The space between us felt like an ocean. So, Dr. Patel said, settling into her own chair with a notepad, "Tell me what brings you here." Rachel looked at me. I looked at my hands. "He thought I was divorcing him," Rachel said finally. "So he emptied our bank accounts and locked me out of our finances without saying a word." Dr. Patel's expression didn't change. "And what made you think your wife was divorcing you?" I explained the phone call, the conversation about lawyers and splitting assets, how certain I'd been that Rachel was planning to leave. "Did you ask her about it?" Dr. Patel asked. "No. Why not?" That was the question, wasn't it? The one I'd been avoiding for 2 weeks. "Because I was scared," I said quietly. "If I asked and she admitted it, then it would be real. And if I asked and she lied, I'd have tipped her off." "Tipped her off?" Dr. Patel repeated. "Like she was an adversary." "Yeah." Rachel made a sound somewhere between a laugh and a sob. "That's exactly what he treated me like. An enemy. A threat." "I'm sorry." "You keep saying that, but sorry doesn't explain why you assumed the worst. Why your first instinct was to protect yourself from me instead of talking to me." Rachel's voice was rising. "We've been together for 8 years. 8 years of building a life together, and you threw it all away over a phone call you didn't even hear completely." "I heard enough." "You heard what you wanted to hear. You heard what fit the story you were already telling yourself about me being distant, about something being wrong, and you used it as an excuse to do exactly what you'd been afraid I'd do to you." The accusation hung in the air. Dr. Patel let it sit there watching us both. "Is that true?" she asked me. I thought about the week before the phone call, how I'd been feeling disconnected from Rachel, how work had been stressful, how I'd been spending more time alone, how I'd noticed Rachel pulling away because I'd pulled away first. "Maybe," I said. "I don't know. I just know that when I heard her talking about lawyers and splitting assets, everything clicked into place, like it confirmed what I'd been worried about." "What had you been worried about?" Dr. Patel asked. "That she'd leave, that I'd do something wrong, and she'd realize she could do better, that I wasn't enough." Rachel's expression shifted. "You never told me you felt that way." "I didn't want to seem weak." "Weak," she shook her head. "So instead you decided to strike first. Make me the enemy so you didn't have to face your own insecurities. That's not—" I stopped, because maybe it was. Maybe that was exactly what I'd done. Dr. Patel leaned forward. "Rachel, what did you feel when you discovered what your husband had done?" "Betrayed. Angry. Devastated." Rachel's voice broke. "I felt like I'd been living with a stranger. Like the man I married, the man I trusted completely, was just waiting for me to mess up so he could protect himself from me. And now? Now I don't know if I can trust him again. How do I trust someone who showed me that at the first sign of trouble he'll turn on me? How do I build a life with someone who sees me as a potential threat?" I wanted to argue, to defend myself, but every word she said was true. "I want to fix this," I said. "I want to prove that I'm not that person." "But you were that person," Rachel said. "For an entire week, you were exactly that person. You talked to a lawyer. You documented my movements. You treated our marriage like a business transaction you needed to protect yourself from. I was scared. So was I. I was scared watching my best friend's marriage fall apart. I was scared trying to help her navigate a divorce while her husband was hiding assets and lying to her. And the whole time, you were doing the same thing to me." Rachel wiped her eyes. "Do you know what Laura said when I told her? She said I was lucky to find out now. That at least I knew who you really were before we had kids. Before we got even more entangled." The words hit like a punch. "Do you believe that?" Rachel looked at me for a long moment. "I don't know what I believe anymore." Dr. Patel let the silence stretch. Then she asked, "What do you need from him to even consider rebuilding trust?" "Honesty. Complete, total honesty. No more hiding, no more protecting himself at my expense." Rachel turned to me. "I need you to tell me everything. Every conversation with your lawyer, every dollar you moved, every suspicion you had. All of it." My throat felt tight. "Okay, and I need to know why, really why. Not just that you were scared, but where that fear came from. Because this level of paranoia doesn't come from nowhere." Dr. Patel nodded. "That's a fair request. Can you do that?" I thought about my parents. About watching my dad lose everything in his divorce when I was 12. About how my mom had blindsided him. How he'd trusted her completely until the day she filed and took half of everything he'd worked for. "My parents got divorced when I was a kid," I said slowly. "It was ugly. My dad didn't see it coming, and my mom cleaned him out. He lost the house, most of his savings, had to start over completely." Rachel's expression softened slightly. "You never told me that part. You said they divorced, but you made it sound mutual. I didn't want to seem damaged, like I had baggage." I looked at her. "But I guess I did. I guess I've been carrying this fear that what happened to him would happen to me. That I'd trust someone completely, and they'd destroy me for it. So you destroyed us first," Rachel said quietly. "Yeah." Dr. Patel made a note. "This is important context, but it doesn't excuse the behavior. You took your father's experience and projected it onto your wife, who had given you no actual reason to distrust her. I know. Do you? Because knowing intellectually and actually internalizing it are different things." Dr. Patel looked at me. "You need to separate your wife from your mother. Rachel is not the person who hurt your father. She's the person who's been showing up for you for 8 years, and you need to see her clearly instead of through the lens of old trauma." Rachel was crying now, quiet tears running down her face. face. I wish you'd told me about your dad. I wish you'd trusted me enough to share that fear instead of acting on it. I'm telling you now, when our marriage is hanging by a thread, when I'm sitting here trying to decide if it's worth saving. She looked at Dr. Patel. How do I forgive this? How do I let go of the fact that when things got hard, he chose to hurt me rather than trust me? That's the work, Dr. Patel said. That's what you'll both need to figure out. Whether he can do the work to change and whether you can do the work to forgive. Neither is guaranteed. The session ended with homework. I was supposed to write out a complete timeline of everything I'd done, every action I'd taken in my paranoia. Rachel was supposed to write about how each discovery had made her feel. We left separately. She went to Vanessa's. I went home. That night I sat down and wrote everything. The transfers, the password changes, the meetings with Dennis, the documentation. Seeing it all laid out on paper in black and white made me sick. This was what I'd done. This was who I'd been. I sent it to Rachel at midnight. No explanation, no excuses, just the facts. She called 20 minutes later. You tracked what time I came home? Her voice was hollow. You kept a log of my movements like I was a suspect? Yes. Jesus. She was quiet for a moment. Was there anything you didn't suspect me of? No, I suspected everything. Even though I never lied to you. Even though I never gave you a reason not to trust me. You just decided I was guilty and collected evidence to prove it. I'm sorry. Stop apologizing. Stop saying you're sorry and start explaining how you're going to make sure you never do this again. Because right now, all I have is your word that you've changed. And your word doesn't mean much to me anymore. The truth of it stung. I don't know how to prove it except by doing it. By showing up. By being honest. By choosing trust over fear every single day. That's not enough. I need concrete changes. I need to see you doing the work. Not just talking about it. Then tell me what you need. Tell me exactly what it looks like and I'll do it. Rachel exhaled slowly. I need you to keep seeing Dr. Patel. Individual therapy, not just couples. You have trauma from your parents' divorce, and you need to deal with that before it destroys us. Okay, I need you to be honest about your fears in the moment, not let them build until you explode. If you're worried about something, you tell me right away. No more silent spiraling. Okay, and I need you to rebuild my trust slowly, not with grand gestures or expensive gifts, but with consistency, with showing up every day and choosing me over your fear. I can do that, can you? Her voice wavered. Because I want to believe you. I want to believe this was a horrible mistake and not who you really are. But I'm terrified of giving you another chance just to have you prove me wrong. I closed my eyes. I can't promise I'll be perfect, but I can promise I'll try. Every single day I'll try. The line went quiet. I could hear her breathing, could almost feel her weighing the risk of trusting me again. I'm coming home on Friday, she said finally. Not because I've forgiven you, not because everything's okay, but because I want to see if we can fix this. If you're serious about changing. I am. Then prove it. She hung up. I sat in the dark house holding the phone and felt something shift. Not relief exactly, more like determination, like I'd been given a second chance I hadn't earned and I wasn't going to waste it. Friday came. Rachel's car pulled into the driveway at 6. I'd spent the day cleaning the house, buying groceries, making sure everything was ready for her to come home. She walked in with her suitcase, set it by the door and looked around. You cleaned? Yeah. It looks good. We stood there awkwardly, two people who'd shared a bed for 8 years, suddenly strangers in our own home. I made dinner, I said, if you want. Rachel nodded slowly. Okay. We ate in near silence, the conversation stilted and careful. She asked about my week. I asked about Vanessa. We avoided the big topics, the heavy stuff, dancing around the elephant in the room. After dinner, she went upstairs. I heard her moving around in the bedroom, unpacking. When she came back down, she was wearing her pajamas. I'm sleeping in the guest room, she said. Just so you know. I understand. I need space. Time. This doesn't mean we're back to normal. I know. Rachel looked at me. Really looked at me. And I saw all the hurt I'd caused reflected in her eyes. I meant what I said. You get one chance to prove you've changed. That's it. One. That's all I need. She nodded and went to the guest room. I heard the door close, the lock click. I sat on the couch in the quiet house and realized that fixing this wasn't going to be quick or easy. It was going to take months, maybe years of consistent effort, of choosing trust over fear, of being the person I should have been all along. But for the first time since this whole nightmare started, I believed it was possible. 3 months later, Rachel moved back into our bedroom. It wasn't a grand moment. She just showed up one night with her pillow and said she was tired of the guest bed. We still had hard conversations, still went to therapy every week, still had moments where the hurt flared up and we had to work through it. But we were working through it together. I never talked to Dennis again. Deleted his number, burned the bridge, moved on. Rachel knew about every conversation we'd had, every piece of advice he'd given me, and she'd made it clear that kind of thinking had no place in our marriage. Laura finalized her divorce. Brad had been exactly what we'd feared. Hiding money, cheating, everything. Rachel had been right to help her, and I'd been an idiot for not seeing it. The work wasn't over. Probably wouldn't be over for a long time. But we were doing it. I was doing it. Showing up every day, choosing trust, proving through action that I'd changed. Some nights I still woke up with that old fear creeping in. The worry that I'd lose everything, that Rachel would leave. But now, instead of hiding it, I told her. And she'd remind me that she was still here, still choosing us, still believing we were worth the effort. I'd almost destroyed the best thing in my life because I was too afraid to trust it. I'd guaranteed the divorce I feared by acting like it was inevitable. But somehow, we'd survived it. And I was going to spend the rest of my life making sure she never regretted giving me that second chance.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and drop your favorite part in the comments. See you in the next one.